You need to leave. You need to leave my private property now.
That's not going to be happening, Trevor.
You need to
The
leave my private
biosecurity
property.
people are coming in now, the fire ant people.
I will meet the biosecurity people at the front gate, as discussed, as I had mentioned to them. We will go through the process, and we will work through the process. But this is private property. You have no reason to be here, and I ask you to please leave.
As I explained to you, we are here to ensure that
We'll get to the biosecurity. They're up there at the gate waiting for me to have these discussions.
no, they're coming in with us.
No,
Okay?
no,
We'll come up with you.
you guys are on my private property. I have instructed Roger to wait for me at the front gate. I'm asking you to please leave. This vehicle is on my private property for no reason, and I'm asking you to move that vehicle from my private property and leave. You have no lawful reason to be on my private property at this stage.
What section of what policy or act or legislation are you here under?
Wait, the sergeant just explained that. We're not going to
No,
repeat
what section
it
of what
numerous
act
times.
are you here under? What section? What specific
You're gonna use the
section?
Biosecurity
What
Act?
law?
I'm asking you to leave. This is my private property. Have you got a warrant? Are you lawfully allowed to be here? If not, please leave. Please leave.
I didn't see the word
I'm
police in
asking
the
you to leave
Biosecurity
my
Act.
property right now. This vehicle is not allowed here. Sir, are you live streaming this? Yeah. Okay. These police officers, are you refusing to move the vehicle
Yes,
from my
mate, I
property?
am refusing to remove that.
So you are removing, and under what
We're here
lawful?
to keep the peace.
You're not keeping the peace. You are disturbing the peace. We were peaceful before you come here.
Would you like to go
You've-
have your
you've-
conversation as arranged?
You've entered my property
Yes, we
unlawfully.
No,
I'm
we
asking you to leave. There's no
We're not-
reason for
we're
you.
not
Why are
leaving,
you here?
Trevor. We're not leaving.
This is my property, and this is on my property. I will meet Roger at the gate, as
please
it was,
do. He's
as it
waiting.
was there. But you are intimidating me on my property. I'm asking you to move your vehicle
We're not moving it, mate.
onto public land. You need to move your vehicle onto public land.
No, we don't.
Is this more important than all the assaults and so forth that you people can't cover?
Mate, there's
We
no
read
fire
it
ants here,
No,
right?
listen,
Mate, I'm-
And it's crazy, isn't
I
it?
have
We're
no
invading
idea.
country with no fire ants, isn't it crazy? Like, why lace
That's
the
not for
country
me to
with
comment
chemicals?
on.
I'm asking
Let
you
me
to leave
comment.
from my property.
I'm not leaving,
it is
Trevor.
pretty
This
Okay?
is private
We're
property.
here to keep the peace while
You're not
they-
keeping the peace. You're disturbing the peace. I'm telling you right now, this is disturbing the peace.
But you can see why he's getting a bit angry. If there was fire ants here for sure, but there's no fire ants here, mate. It's ridiculous.
What, that's got nothing for the
I
fire.
know, but
That's
you
got
can see
nothing
how
to
it's
do with the
ridiculous.
fire.
Everyone's
Okay?
getting big. You can see it doing.
I've already explained 3 times with you.
You're not keeping the peace. You're disturbing the peace. You are disturbing the peace. Your actions here today have actually disturbed the peace of a peaceful, lawful gathering that
I'm
we
hearing you,
have.
Trevor. I'm
Okay,
hearing
but
you.
you're not doing anything about it.
That's
You're
correct.
continuing
correct.
to disturb the peace.
I will remain here and keep the peace until they've finished their duties.
No one here as well. Private property, and I've asked the police several times to leave, and they haven't. No reason why they can't park their vehicle on public land, same as what you've done. Is there, Roger?
I have to discuss that with them, but yeah, we can.
Well, you're the one who invited them here, Roger. Under your instruction, please ask them to leave. They can park their vehicle on public land at the front. They're intimidating me, and this is intimidating the process. And you are failing to go through the process properly. You've already started off on the wrong foot here, Roger. I'll continue this conversation with you at the front.
Make sure you get pictures of all the vehicles over here. How much resources they're putting into baiting a place with no fire ants on it. There's no fire ants here. Go 20 k's down the road and there's fire ants either side of the road.
I will
on
engage
state
in this
government land.
conversation when you get that police vehicle off my private property.
Did you ask them?
Yes, I have.
Well, that's up to them when they.
No, they're here under your guide, mate. So you need to sort that out. If you wanted this conversation to begin, then you get them people off my property.
They can.
They're not. No, they're not. This conversation will not continue until the police vehicle has been removed from my private land and is put into public space, please.
Okay, so the police vehicle is here because in prior discussions with yourself, Trev, you have made threats that
I have not made any threats.
you've had online statements to the effect that we in Billa can happen again. You've also said to my body on camera in recent weeks that police would physically have to shoot you
That
should
is
this
correct.
occur on your
And,
property.
and now they are here anyway, and you know that information, and you bought them disturbing the peace, knowing that that is my attitude. So you are in fact here disturbing the peace. The police have actually proactively come here to disturb the peace, to create outrage already before we even start the process, Roger. So before this process is starting, these people need to stop trespassing on my land. They have got no reason to be on my private land. They can park here with your vehicles over there, and they can watch and supervise as per normal in their own space. But this is my property, and I will not have police on my property unjustified to be there without a warrant. So until that is rectified, these conversations aren't going to continue.
So as a matter of risk analysis for safety, police obviously.
They can come here. Yeah, they can come
Trev,
here.
we don't know. I've got faith in you. I respect you. But
You
we
don't
know
respect
what's-
me. You've got 3 policemen here armed with guns driving onto my private property without due cause before we even go through the process.
As I mentioned, that's because we're here lawfully under a legislated biosecurity program. And
They need to leave before this conversation
They are here
continues.
to
Before
keep-
this conversation continues, police need to be off my land, onto private property, and you can start this process in a respectful and dignified way. How you have begun this process is undignified, unjust, and is just not getting anywhere. You've already come off on the wrong foot.
Trevor,
Roger?
I sincerely apologise.
Okay, well
for
rectify
feeling-
the
I won't be
situation.
rectifying that because the police are here to keep the peace. And
Okay,
for-
well let them keep the peace because they're the ones that are disturbing the peace, Roger. We were here lawfully,
so
and
they're
they
here
were.
for safety and risk analysis.
Okay, well get
and
them
for
here
keeping the
for
peace.
safety and risk
And
analysis
because
on their
you
own
previously
property.
made inflammatory statements of
You
a
need
severe
to
safety
get them
concern.
off my property, and we'll continue this conversation until that
That won't be
happens.
So Trevor, we're here today. I've shown
But
you.
Roger, there's no fire ants here, mate. So you're baiting Trevor's place with no fire ants, but just down the road on state government land, there's fire ants either side of the road. Don't you think that's a bit?
But you don't conclusively know there are no fire ants here, Trevor.
Well, mate, yes we do. We've walked it, mate. We've walked it. How do you know there's fire ants here? How do you know there's
So
fire
there's fire
ants?
ants in the area. The nearest nest is 2.5 to 3 kilometres away.
So you're
multiple
baiting
nests.
country with no fire ants for a preventative.
And
This
you
is
know
a
that
legislated
it's
biosecurity
toxic
program.
poison.
Now, I will be directing conversation to Trevor. Apologies, no one else.
So don't you think it's a bit ridiculous though, Roger, that you're
What?
baiting country with no fire ants
As
in
I
it?
say,
On
I'm
state
directing
government
my-
land, there's fire ants just down the road, mate.
Jim,
Either
I
side of it.
appreciate your political, but I'm not here to engage with you. I'm here to engage.
You're not engaging with me until these police officers move their vehicles to the public land, and then we can have a civil conversation and talk about this reasonably. At the moment, you've gone down on the wrong foot.
Yeah, just move it and just start again.
And start again. Let's start off on the right foot, guys. Let's start off on the right foot and
Yeah.
do this properly, please. Move
Respect.
your vehicle and have some respect.
I'll do that for you.
Okay,
if
thank
you
you.
like. If
Okay.
you're willing to
Thank
engage
you.
and
Well, we
speak
are
to
here
Thanks,
engaging.
Constable. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure. Can everyone just be careful, please, as I'm
Yeah.
bringing the vehicle out?
Thank you, officer.
The police driver straight in there, bulldozing the process, and already have got off on the wrong foot.
Trevor, to be fair, I apologise for
Okay,
that.
that's
we
fine.
came down to ascertain what the situation was.
okay.
We are literally here.
Okay,
for
but
the safety of the
you
fire
could have
and
moved your
stuff.
vehicle.
Yeah, we are
yeah,
moving
yeah,
it,
now, but I had to make a big song and dance about it.
You didn't.
I did. If I didn't make a song and dance, you'd be down there still now.
You're quite upset.
Yes, I am.
Speaking to you
Yeah,
quite
okay.
calmly.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't become upset with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did ask kindly and nicely,
Well,
and
you
you
didn't.
and you didn't move your vehicle.
No, you told us that we didn't have the right to be there, which we do.
No, not
We are here. We are here to
until
ensure
the process
safety.
has gone past this stage here.
We've got access to your front door.
Yeah, but I asked you to leave. You've got no reason to be there.
Well, we do. We're here for the security of the fire ant. Anyway, I'll get you back.
Do you have a regional biosecurity management plan?
Yes, I do.
You're a man.
No, I don't.
Uh,
You know it's a commercial operation. Okay, so why wouldn't this have been established before you made the appointment, before you come here?
Whether or not you've got commercial goings on here is irrelevant to the fact that we're here lawfully to implement a legislated biosecurity program. You can have at length discussions scientifically with any of our entomologists
No,
or
no, no,
senior staff if you like.
that's fine, but
But in-
listen,
in my
listen,
capacity
I've
here-
got a farm management plan.
Have you all got your
Have you
IDs?
bothered to ask me about that prior to coming here today?
I'm asking you about it now.
Yes, and I have.
Yeah, procedures to be
I'll
signed
copy
with
of
gate
the
posts
legal
and
on there,
management
so-
plan in place
Yep.
to wash things like that. So we have had
Have we
things
got a sign on the fence?
of security area that's not quite the same.
Yeah, and
but,
there's some other ones on that fence.
so as courtesy to you, your first property was attended today, so these vehicles and these boots have gone nowhere else in terms of weed, seeds and pathogens.
Have you got a?
So you've got a declaration of them washed down to limit the...
Weed and seed.
We don't have a declaration.
Well, you can't come
No,
in.
you can't come on.
We've got we're washing the car.
You've been onto other properties with fire.
Yeah, so when the teams come,
Haven't even got a weed and seed. Haven't even got a weed and seed on their vehicle. Weed and seed.
But you're working, but you're working under the Biosecurity Act. Section 12 of the Biosecurity Act. Listen, I'm going to talk. This is the Trevor Hold show. This is the Trevor Hold show, right? You're at my property. This is my private property.
Yep.
You will show me respect and you will listen to me when I'm talking.
yeah, but I can't
you're
give you all
on
day.
You'll be here as long as it takes, Roger. You're getting paid by the hour. You are literally restricting my ability to earn money today. You're restricting my freedoms and you're restricting my rights.
Okay,
so this is the Trevor Hold show, right? This is my property. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So you've already established that you're here to treat fire ants.
I will read you an official spiel.
Okay,
so
but that's
just
what
for
you're
clarity.
that's what you're here for. Okay.
Correct.
So what chemicals would you be using today?
We're
Roger?
using the Engage product, which is the S-methoprene.
That's methylphrine. Okay. And minor use on that permit. Minor use on that permit. Have you got the permit?
We've got the permit. Would you like a copy?
Just
Attached that as a PDF, I believe, emailed to you recently.
no, it hasn't been.
What I can provide you with is the Direction for Prevention and Control
Yeah,
Program.
that's what you emailed. That's what you emailed me. There was no other
as well,
documents with
and
that.
then I'll read you an official offence warning and extract, Trevor.
When we get to it. When we get to it. Okay.
I'll go for you.
And also
you
a
go.
safety data sheet for it. Have you? Or-
It's all in the
It's all
one.
in the one. Yep.
See here on this permit, it said you've got to lock up your chooks for 24 hours. So if the chemical's that safe, why do you need to house your chooks?
To stop the chooks from eating it. So
Well,
it's,
so, but if the chooks eat it, do they get hurt, Roger? Does it affect the chooks? So why do you lock them up?
But if
because
it's
the chooks
about
eat it, the ants can't eat it.
The only reason Trevor has to lock up his chooks because there's no danger if the chooks eat that. They can eat as
no,
much
but
as they
it
want.
says they can't give them the grass clippings as well. Your permit says you can't
So
feed
I'm
them the grass
directing
clippings.
conversation
Can you
to Trevor.
ask him why the
We're
grass
just going to
clippings
go.
can't be fed to
We'll
the
go through
chickens?
the. We'll go through the permit. We'll go through the process and just have a look
Oh,
at this.
we're
permit.
not going through the permit because I emailed it to you. I provided you a copy.
You haven't
and it's
emailed
there.
it to me. This is the first time you give it to me now. This was not emailed yesterday, Roger.
Okay.
Can
I
you
believe
can you concede that?
Let him read it, Roger, and then you can say he's read the permit.
read the permit?
Okay, so the first thing on this permit, Roger, that I'd like to talk about is minor use. How are you ascertaining the minor use through the APDMA?
So as I mentioned, Trevor, and this will be the last time I go into this.
But this is
I'm
the
here in my
permit that you're here.
capacity today
Yeah, okay.
to implement a legislated biosecurity program.
And
I'm
we're
not
trying to
here
make sure you're doing it legally, Roger.
Yeah,
You've
I'm
got
not
to
here
do it
to
legally. You've got to do it
debate the
legally.
legality of it. I'm not here to talk about chemicals. I'm not here to talk about
Minor
community
use,
perception.
minor use. So
I'm
if
not
you're
here to
breaching,
talk
if
about-
you're breaching your permit, it's a
Trev.
reasonable excuse. Let me talk, Roger. Let me talk. You haven't answered my question. You're failing
Trev,
to answer my question.
you have sent over 100 pieces of correspondence to the program.
And I still
You've
haven't got
made
an answer. Does that tell you
And
something?
that is
Well, I
because
still haven't got an answer. 100 times I've asked the question and I failed to get an answer.
In the biosecurity, you don't have to answer.
So minor permit, Roger. Like minor use. How's that work? Because we don't want you to get in trouble, do we? We don't want you to do anything unlawful.
Trev. Trev Hold, we're here at 477.
Listen, Roger.
My name is Roger Morris.
You're not letting me speak, Roger. This is the Trevor Holt show.
Appointed under the Biosecurity Act.
We haven't finished this. Who is your decision maker? I haven't seen that identification code. What authority are what you're here for? What is your authority?
There you go, there you go.
What
You don't need to photograph it.
what is your authority to be here today, Roger?
Authorised officer under the Biosecurity Queensland.
Who authorised you, Roger?
So I could show you that.
Yeah,
His
please,
name
please
happens-
do.
I don't have to. His name happens to be Barry Cooper, senior official with the program.
Okay.
And then beyond that, you go Rachel Che and Graham Butler.
Can you prove that you are authorised? What documentation have you
That
got
is-
to
that is
prove?
it.
That,
Signatures. It's got.
that could be
numbers, it's
that
got
could be
logos.
fraudulent. How can you
It's not
how
fraud.
can you justify? How can you?
Okay. So I've shown you my ID. You're the occupier of this place.
Who is the
Trevor
decision
Holt.
maker here today? Who is the decision maker?
The decision maker is myself,
Yep.
and above that you can go to Robert Wilson, the manager of compliance. Above that you can go to
But
Marty Manning,
today
Rachel Che,
in regards
Graham Bolton.
in regards
Minister.
to this treatment and what you're trying to achieve here, who is the decision maker?
So I will be the legal instrument to enable the team to come on, and
Yep.
then we have Joe Parker, our team leader, who's experienced and local in dealing with livestock.
So
and
are you,
applying
are you considering informational claim during our conversations here today, or has it been preconceived what you're going to do?
I'm going to read you this, and then I'm going to listen to what you might claim as a reasonable excuse.
No, well, we haven't even got to that yet because you haven't had any conversation about the biosecurity plan of my property and how you're going to
I've
do
asked
it.
to see it. You said you don't have it.
Well, you have asked to see it. I need more time than that. You just asked me just then. That's the first time you've heard me ask it.
I mean, can you tell me the stipulations? Boot washing, etc. Is there anything else? Q fever? Any other
Yeah,
biosecurity?
well, we've got cows. Everyone that on this property needs to demonstrate either with a stat deck or a medical certificate that they have the key fever shot. I wouldn't want any occupational health and safety risks on this property.
We need to see the vehicles to make sure they're clean to a satisfactory standard.
Yeah. Certification probably
Well, that's
So-
good practice.
So in best faith, of course, we try and adhere to biosecurity management plans. We are the Biosecurity Queensland. However, the legislated biosecurity program does override the individual.
So the safety of the workers that are coming onto my property, Q fever is lethal. If they're not injected with Q fever, vaccinated with Q fever, they are at risk, at serious harm and possible death. Roger?
Sure. And
So you're
part
happy?
of- that's part of our internal.
You're happy to
Yeah. And as I mentioned, Trevor, I'll just read this from the start. If you do give me
No.
90 seconds to get
just
through.
let no. Well, we haven't got there
Trevor.
yet. You haven't got there yet. We're still
I know
trying to
you've
get
got
through
an
this.
audience. I know it's your property.
Yeah,
and I
no,
know
no,
it's
but-
overbearing,
well,
but I'm
okay.
going to read through this. Okay, that's
It's
your
not-
last chance.
Listen,
So my
Roger.
name is
This
Roger
is
Morris,
Trevor
Biosecurity
Hall. You're not letting me
Queensland.
speak,
I'm an
Roger.
authorised
Roger,
officer
you're
appointed
not
under
letting me
the
speak.
Biosecurity Act 2014.
Roger, you're not
This is
letting
my
me
identity
speak.
card, which I've shown
You're
you.
failing to let me speak, Roger.
occupier
You
of
have
this
not.
place,
You have
which
not
we've
let me
established.
speak. This spiel is not being acknowledged
you.
because you are failing to
Fine.
let me speak.
We're treating
You are
properties in the
failing
area
to let me
today,
speak, Roger.
filling the gaps for the
You are
properties
not
that
letting
were
me
missed
speak.
last treatment,
You're
and
not
yours
letting
is
me
one of
talk.
them.
Why is it
To
that you don't
successfully
want to
eradicate
talk
fire ants,
and
we must treat
negotiate
100%
this
of the properties
process
within the
properly?
eradication band up to 6 times in a 2-year period.
Roger, how long
We
ago
only
did you
require
treat the
access
other
to the outside
properties
areas
next
of
door,
your
Roger?
property. There is no need for us to enter your house or buildings. We
No,
don't need
this
a right to go
is
there.
this is irrelevant.
The
This
team
is
will only be on the
irrelevant.
property for the time
What's your
required to
name,
deliver
sorry?
fire ant treatment. We can work with you to answer any questions you may have afterwards, and if possible, find a mutually suitable time to treat your property, which is what we've come to today. As authorised officers appointed under the Biosecurity Act 2016, we do have powers, and one of them is to enter these places. Under Section 261 of the Biosecurity Act, authorised officers can enter places without consent to conduct activities under the biosecurity program. This includes conducting treatment activities under the National Fire Ant Eradication
I wish
Program.
they'd treat the state land down the road, which might I
However,
say
as a
is
courtesy,
covered in
we're
fire
asking your
ants now.
consent. It's glaringly
Covered in
obvious that's not
fire
going to
ants now.
happen.
So they come here to private property.
If occupy
There's
mentions
no
trespassing,
fire
it's not considered trespassing,
They
and
won't
we're
treat state
entering the
government
property
land. It's a-
lawfully.
You know, they're not walking
Trev, this
the
is the
talk.
part where I'm legally required to
fact they're
warn you
all
that it is an
government
offence under
land.
section 336 of the Act to obstruct myself or any of the staff here as authorised officers exercising powers under the Act unless you have a reasonable excuse. The offence carries a maximum penalty of 100 penalty units. A single penalty unit is $161. It's an offence to cause obstruction unless you have a reasonable excuse. I'm also informing you that steps taken today is do intend to ready themselves with the SMF-free products, perform boot wash. You're welcome to take great care in crossing the 80km road from the vehicles. And then they would look to enter. We do have 8-metre buffers around any permanent water body, even though you've got some dams at the back. We are willing to give generous concessions around your house yard
Still
and
runs
so
off
forth.
into it.
Damn the drinking water. Everyone's
After
drinking
treatment, you must not water, mow, or disturb the treated area for 48
And it
hours.
causes
This will
climate
increase the
change.
effectiveness of the treatment.
That amount
Under
of
section
pesticide
238
causes
of the
climate
Act, you must comply with this direction unless you have a reasonable excuse. A maximum of 50 penalty units applies if you fail to follow a direction. So the next steps would be you're welcome to articulate any specific reasonable excuse
I have a tacit
as to
agreement.
why you might
Are you listening now?
obstruct.
Are you listening now? You're wasting your breath on that. I have a tacit agreement with the management of the National Fire and Eradication Program that has acknowledged and accepted my reasonable excuse prior and has placed this property on a do not treat register.
But there's no such thing, it does not exist.
So
Sorry.
there's no rights. Are you saying that?
No,
There's
I've got a tacit.
reasonable
I've got a
excuse?
tacit agreement. There's 3 tacit agreements signed, 3 notices signed, and has had.
Yeah,
and
so-
I can provide them if you want.
And obviously myself in this job coming into your property, Trev, I've got nothing against you
No,
personally.
but I've got 3. I've got a tacit agreement
And
already.
I figured you might say similar things, so I checked with the superiors up to the level of Marnie Manning, who you've dealt with
I have it.
previously, and
Just because
no
she
such
says that
agreement
doesn't mean that I
is
can. Do you
acknowledged.
want to see? Do you
I
want to
also
see?
specifically asked
Do you want to see the
to
tacit
read
agreements?
the independent toxicology report regarding your calf.
Regardless.
Because I
of-
thought I'm going to be the one going to speak to Trev about the calf. I wanted to know that. I've read it. It does not point any link between the baiting and that unfortunate
They,
incident.
they
so
died
sorry
of
for that.
toxic liver poisoning.
So
you
I've
know
read it.
that-
But
Pesticides
anyway,
are
but
linked to
listen,
lots of
listen,
poisonings.
listen. I've got a tacit agreement, and whether they acknowledge it or not, I can show you to you. And I have a stat deck signed by a JP, and that they have accepted that. They had 3 opportunities. One was dated. The first notice was given to Marnie Manning, who didn't reply on the 24th of December, 2024. Now, tacit agreement was included with my reasonable excuse, which was agreed to her, and we gave her 14 days to respond to that. No response was given, so tacitly she agreed that my excuse was reasonable and that she would put me on a do not treat zone. So the second, so, and I have, that's what I'm saying.
But there's nothing
That's what I'm
regarding
saying.
that would stop us.
That's what-
Why can't you just give Trev the chemical or means to treat his own property?
You'll have to ask that question to more senior.
Haven't you asked that,
figures.
like all these resources when I know the department gives out
It's
chemical
limited to the
treatment?
APVMA permit in terms of the organisational body that is issued the permit.
But he could treat his own property and save all these police resources and stuff. When there's fire ants there, he could treat them.
That's a conversation for not myself, but
But you must admit it's a bit frustrating and a bit ridiculous how Trevor can't treat his own property, and you've got the chemical there he could treat it with, and he's got a system there that he can
the
treat it with.
chemical just happens to be not commercially available to the public.
But you're giving other chemical out to people, aren't they, to treat their own places? You are.
Yeah, so in the suppression area, not
Yeah.
the eradication area.
So how far is the suppression area off this area now?
So the eradication area is 5 kilometre width, Jim.
Yeah.
As you know, and as you know, the tried and tested formula these days for infections and infestations, draw a ring around it and track the ring inwards.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Trevor, it just happens to be situated in the ring.
These properties next door, because we don't want fire ants either, mate. We agree.
Yeah, but
we
isn't
want to
there
try
an
to stop.
irrigation
Hang on.
zone?
The properties next door, when did they get treated? Roger. When did these properties next door get treated?
Recently I'd have to look through the records,
Because-
but without further ado, sorry Jim,
But listen, you haven't,
what I'm going to do is invite the teams on to
you haven't let me finish what I'm going to say. I've got a, yes, I am articulating. So I have got a tacit agreement that I can prove, and I'm happy to provide it to the police officer there. And who's going whether that, are you deeming that that's unacceptable?
We're not accepting what you perceive to be a tacit agreement as any sort of reasonable excuse why this will be rejected.
But we've got a tacit agreement in place.
That's for your own perception, and you can seek your own legal advice on it.
Okay, well, we'll challenge that in
He
the
just
court.
wants to work with you, Roger. Why can't we just work this out? Rather, like it's a bad look for your program to have all these people here. It should be a measurement of the performance of the program, and it is a performance measure where people refuse to be actually chemical baited forcefully. Why don't we look at doing it on a voluntary basis, mate? What's happened when we need top-down compliance instead of bottom-up? We all want to get rid of fire ants. We just want to work with you.
What's your name, sorry? This process is not finished yet.
I'm not entering the property, sir, so. Steve, Roger, let's go.
Listen, I have not articulated my reasonable excuse. I have been denied due justice here, and this has not been resolved. I have not, these guys, I'm Jason said, I do not know this guy's name. This guy has not identified himself.
Sir,
You
as
have
I
not
said,
identified
I
yourself.
identified myself at the
I
front
haven't
of your
got it. I've
house.
got a pen and a piece of paper. I haven't got it.
Sir,
Yeah.
I identified myself verbally when we arrived at the place. My name is Sergeant Trudy Blenham.
Just stop. Just take it there. What is the rush? Everyone's getting paid by the hour except me.
We are, and as you so succinctly said, the fact that we are here is a waste of taxpayers'
Yeah,
money.
yeah, okay, well just, this guy's speaking.
Under the Biosecurity Act-
I haven't got this guy's name.
Do not talk over me.
You
Under the
talk over me.
Biosecurity Act, you are obliged to allow the fire ant people to come in. We are here to enable that. My name is Sergeant Trudy Flintham.
Okay, just
I am
stop,
from the
just-
Gas
just-
Police
okay,
Station.
just-
I am not stopping.
Well, just-
Stop
just let me-
talking
just-
over me.
You're taking too long. I'm not.
Mate, you have been talking the entire time we have been here. We've listened to you. You
I'm
have not returned the favour.
I'm not, okay, I'm just trying
Okay,
to write.
I'm telling you,
Just take it
if
slowly.
any person today
Just take it-
obstructs,
take
that
it-
is why we are here.
Take it slowly.
Have you
Take
asked
it
for a
slowly.
reasonable excuse?
Yeah.
Have you
So the
asked if he has a
reasonable
reasonable
excuse-
excuse?
Sir?
Have you
reasonable
asked if he
excuse-
has a
True.
I
reasonable
haven't
excuse?
finished it.
So the reasonable excuse relates to, so you obstruct, you get fined for obstruct,
Yep.
and then you have a reasonable excuse for obstructing.
Okay.
It's not a reasonable excuse why we can't enter
Okay,
your
you
property in
need,
the
you,
first
need, you
place.
need to step back a bit because we haven't gone through the process. This guy here, and I don't know what's
I've
your name,
asked
sir? What's your name?
His name's Bruce Matt.
to give you my name.
Bruce?
Rocky, mate, they're all wearing
How about the
I'm a bit slow. Sorry.
P273, avoid release to the environment, dangerous to the environment.
Sorry, Bruce. Bruce. Sorry, Bruce. I haven't got his name. Come on, guys. This is. I don't know his name. I need to identify myself. This is my property. They're breaking in the law, and I need their names
And
to
all
go
those
through.
people are not going to identify
Well, they
themselves.
need to. It's in the Biosecurity Act. It's in the Biosecurity Act that they must. Roger, these guys must identify themselves. Do they? They know that. They know that. Now, please give me due justice.
Here's the instrument that we are gaining entry.
Okay, please give me due justice. Okay, please. I haven't seen his ID. I haven't written it down. I need to know who's entering my property.
So Trent,
You're rushing the process.
that's because you've taken a lot of time.
I haven't taken enough time.
So who's entering the property? Myself?
Okay, let's get back. I've got to write this. I've got a list
Team leader,
here.
area coordinator.
Okay, just give me a second. Just
can-
give me a second.
We can provide you a list as well.
Excuse me.
this property right
Can you just hop off my
over.
property? and
Did
I'll
you?
write them down.
This is bureaucracy in action. This is red.
What a great day.
Perfect day.
Feel so proud of yourselves. Oh yeah, that's the go, guys. What is this, the army coming in? You're just like us. You're just human beings. You've got homes and you don't respect someone else's place. Yeah, keep coming, keep coming. Trip over something. What you pulled out a pothole.